Man, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Rojo, Convict's Perspective, joined by my homeboy and my friend Gunner from Gunner's Collective. And today, Flacco's pretending like he's doing some stuff, man. So Gunner jumped on here with me, man, so we could entertain you guys, man. Gunner always adds that little different outlook and that sense of humor. So, man, this story is going to be about smuggling, man. Smuggling, things into facilities. And it's a good one, man. It's about High Desert Prison, man. And as you guys know, High Desert, it's about that action out there. Ain't that right?
Yeah, hey, most definitely. Everything I've ever heard from High Desert is they will get high and eat you for dessert. High Desert or High Desert. Anyways, look, what I will say this is they've been known to put 100 holes in your body in High Desert, and that's real. That's pretty much a mandatory rule there, you know.
Yeah, even other groups, man. Usually, the historically the most violent groups are going to be the two that we know well. But man, every group up there is, man, if you ain't getting life flighted, they say it's an unsuccessful mission.
Yeah, they're with the business.
They're not playing, man. So this article I found, man, is from the Sacramento Bee, and it's when was this done? This was February. So on a Saturday morning in mid-November, a woman from Honolulu, Hawaii, pulled up to High Desert State Prison in a rented Toyota Camry to visit her boyfriend, an inmate at the facility. Arlene Kiko Alani had flown to Sacramento International Airport and had 2 visits scheduled with her boyfriend, Frank Avalos, at the prison, which is near Susanville, according to federal records. She had also been recorded by prison officials talking to Avalos and other inmates in the preceding weeks about her planned visits. And when she arrived at the visitor center on 10:05 a.m. November 16th, investigators were waiting for her. Real quick, man, I'm going to stop this. When you're on those phones, this call may be recorded and monitored. That call is definitely 100,000% being recorded. It may not be being monitored live at that second, but there is a team of IGIs that go over all those damn phone calls, and especially for inmates who are considered smugglers, gang leaders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So all the people that are still talking on them phones, when this is just back in February, there's all these cell phones in there. I have no way to explain.
That's just like when the cops read you your rights and they say anything you say can and will be used against you. The key word there is will be used against you. 100%. So they're saying this will be monitored, subject to monitor. They're, if they say they're going to do it, guess what? Ding, 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 ding. Also, they're going to do it. I mean,
and a lot of people make the mistake, man. They go in there not trying to snitch, not trying to tell, and they end up incriminating themselves and others by trying to outsmart these people who do this shit for a living and talk to people much smarter than you on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Anyway, during a recorded interview, Kiko Alani admitted she possessed contraband. An affidavit filed in federal court in Sacramento last week says a search of Kiko Olani discovered 1 bundle of heroin concealed on her person. The heroin weighed approximately 52.9 grams. And she brought in 2 pieces. They're about to be balling.
Balling out.
Doing it. And another thing, if you're trying to smuggle contraband, anybody will let you use their phone if they don't have none. You just tell them, man, I'll shoot you a little fucking something. You know what I mean? Anyway. A search of the Camry's trunk turned up another package of suspected heroin weighing 53.4 grams.
She was really doing it, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of you guys that ain't been to prison, that's an astronomical amount of money in prison.
Probably about $25,000.
That's 4 pieces. Yeah, that's 4 pieces, bro.
Yeah, if you break it down, I'm saying just on a piece. If you break down a piece into $50 papers, which is how they go in prison, a match head, it's basically a match head, a smear. That's a $50 paper. You can make an astronomical, like you said, amount of papers. It accumulates to about $25,000 for a piece.
According to the affidavit, which formed the basis of a criminal complaint filed January 30th, charging Olani with conspiracy to possess and distribute heroin. A no bail warrant was issued for her arrest, but court records provide few hints as to her whereabouts. The phone number allegedly used by the inmates to call her no longer works. Ah, maybe they did have a cell phone. Man, how were they recording that? Guys, be careful.
Somebody, hey, guess what? Somebody snitched. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
Pretty much what it all comes down to.
They gave up the phone number and they got a warrant on that number, and they were just sitting right there like they were on three-way. Oh,
Yep.
what do you say? What do you do when you do this, Gunner? I'll hold.
Yep.
I'll hold.
Hey, so
Oh man. Okay.
3.2 grams. Yeah, we'll definitely hold. You know what I mean?
And she could not be reached at another phone listed for her in public records. The federal criminal complaint follows the filing in Lassen Superior Court in November of charges that she tried to bring drugs into a prison, charges that she entered not guilty pleas to at the time. Oh, they just said that funny. She didn't plead to him at the time. The lawyer listed in court records as representing her in the case did not respond to a phone message. The charges highlight the ongoing issue of drugs, cell phones, and other contraband being smuggled into California prisons in a number of increasingly sophisticated and brazen manners. The California Department of Corrections Rehabilitations has been fighting the problem for years, using a number of methods beyond listening to recorded phone calls by inmates. CDCR uses a multi-layered approach to stop drugs from entering our institutions, including institution searches, package scanners, body scanners, drug sniffing canine teams, and treating substance use disorder inside of our facilities. Spokesman Ike Dotson wrote in an email to the Sacramento Bee. By eliminating the flow of contraband into prisons, the department creates safer environments for staff, inmates, and visitors. The scope of the problem is illustrated by the statistics on how much officials seize from inside the state prisons. Now listen to this, you guys. Last year, CDCR says officials confiscated 470 pounds of tobacco, just under 13 ounces of cocaine, 15 and a half ounces of hash, 592 ounces of heroin. They also seized 1,150 ounces of marijuana, 815 ounces of meth, 105 ounces of butane honey oil, 53 and a half ounces of Suboxone, and 5.6 ounces of fentanyl. Prison officials also recovered 12,076 cell phones last year in the California Department of Corrections, roughly one for every 10 inmates in custody. The numbers are staggering. But the problem continues to be a focus of state and federal officials, with authorities announcing two major federal cases last year aimed at halting drug smuggling allegedly orchestrated throughout California prisons by members of the Aryan Brotherhood and New Western Familiar prison gangs. More than 36 inmates and suspected associates were charged in those cases involving allegations that prison gangs use smuggled cell phones to orchestrate drug deals nationwide and order hits on inmates or individuals outside the prison. One court document describes how a wiretap recorded one defendant outside a prison talking to inmates by cell phone and describing how he was going to place cell phones, batteries, chargers, mini hacksaw blades, drill bits, earpieces, and other items inside Little Debbie snacks, including honey cakes, to have them smuggled into the prison. The smuggled cell phones allowed Aryan Brotherhood members and other inmates to make phone calls and give them access to encrypted chat applications, text messages, multimedia messages, and email, which poses a threat to the security of the prison and to the safety of the individuals working and or those incarcerated there. Chris Nielsen, special agent in charge of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration in San Francisco, said when one of the smuggling cases was announced last year. Gang members used the cell phones to conspire, plan, and execute crimes, while they're in prison. The heroin smuggling case charged against Olani last week did not rely on such sophisticated investigative techniques. Instead, court papers say the phone calls were made to her from the inside the prison, and recordings of them were reviewed after she scheduled her visits. During each recorded call, participants are given a recorded admonition that their conversations are being recorded. So they did use the damn state phone.
Yeah, they're stupid. Put it like that.
Court papers add the motivation for the alleged smuggling effort was simply financial. Heroin may sell on the streets for about 85 an ounce. That's incorrect. The sworn affidavit says. In contrast, inside a secure CDCR prison, they're probably meant a gram. CDCR prison, that same ounce of heroin may sell for approximately 400 per ounce. They meant gram, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The extreme profit margin is part of why there are ongoing efforts to smuggle drugs and other contraband into California prisons, and why it can be worthwhile for people outside of prison to assist in such operations.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, man, me and you have talked before, bro, and you actually had a homeboy of yours that was in some institution somewhere you were telling me about, man. And they were down there killing it just off tobacco, weren't they?
Yeah, so trip out on this. So I have a homeboy, and he told me a story, and I don't know what particular yard. And like I said, we're not even gonna speak on the particular yard because I'm sure they're still wiggling. But anyways, he's gym living in one of these facilities, which was a level 3, level 4/level 4 facility, meaning the 4s were all in the buildings and the 3s were in the gym. And they had it going on, man, somewhere along the line. And quiet as it's kept, man, you do have people entering contraband through visiting or whatever the case may be. But for the most part, everybody knows that's done time, man. It's gonna be the fucking placas that bring it in, right? Or these fucking workers, kitchen workers or electricians or whatever the case may be, whoever you can knock, man. And somewhere along the line, I guess they knocked this CO. And I mean, I'm not going to go into the details, but I will say this, that they had whatever they wanted, man. They had tobacco, they had heroin, they had everything. But at the same time, you have to understand that, and just like you heard from there, 470 pounds of tobacco. My friend told me, he said he wasn't into the hard drugs. He wasn't into getting involved in all that, because with that brings snitching, with that brings fucking people that can't pay, with that brings problems, right? So he kind of got himself into the tobacco trade in there. And the word on the curb was that he told me that one pack of cigarettes would go for $200 bills cash on the yard or $400 in canteen, which pretty much was the equivalent of $25 to $20 a stick, right?
Yeah.
And so he brought in, initially, he convinced one of his homeboys from Gilroy, a homeboy from Gilas, to bring in $100 bill, because the homeboy was stressing how his old lady was going to be able to come visit him, how he was going to take care of his car note, how he was going to pay his rent, being incarcerated. He left this all on the plate of his hyena and his kid. And so the homeboy got it. The homeboy had already knocked the cop and was like, I got the hookup, whatever. So anyways, he convinced the homeboy to bring in the $100 bill. The homie did that. However, he did that. And he took that $100 bill to the plaque and was able to finagle this cop out of 4 packs of cigarettes, which usually the going rate was $100 bill for 2 packs to the Connect. He convinced them for 4, and sky was the limit. They took off from there, took a couple of those packs, went on the yard, flipped them for another $400, and just the cycle kept repeating. And the homie was able to smoke like a train. They were able to take care of the car note. They were able to take care of the visiting every weekend. They were able to take care of numerous other things. And of course, cell phones came along with that. And, you need to have a cell phone to avoid situations just like this. Situations where the cops, we will monitor your call. I'll hold, right? Of course, they're going to monitor your call. They're telling you right there. And that's right off the top. Anyone that's did any time already knows, don't say too much on the phone, and watch who you have around you. Now, at the same time, trip out. He had his thing going on for about a good year, and it was going on. And he told me a little story, trip out on this story, that a well-known C, he's a well-known C. He's actually in the federal faction. I'm not going to put his name out there. He actually had a nephew that pulled up to this gym. And so his nephew tried to throw his name around, saying, "Oh, my Theo's this, my Theo was that, and whoop-de-whoop, wop-de-wop." And I guess he looked just like him. So, at the end of the day, it definitely was the sobrino to this C. And but none of that shit mattered. None of that shit mattered, man. These guys that were doing this, that had this going on with this cop, man, stuck to the grind, and they had a small inner circle, and they didn't put no one else in that circle. So he gets there and sees, I guess, homeboys using cell phones, and he's smelling the weed in the air, the tobacco, and he wants to get in. So he goes up to the homeboy and he says, "Hey, what's up, man? Let me use a phone. I see you guys got the phones." And homeboy's like, "Nah, man, we're going to have to keep you at a distance, bro. I don't know nothing about no phone." He's sticking to his guns. And of course, the dude's trying to work him out of it. And the homie's like, "You got 20, you use the phone." Because that's what people do in there. If you ain't got no action on the phone, they could charge you for a phone, phone call. And so this dude ain't feeling it. So what this dude actually did was actually ride a kite, snitching, talking about there's an officer bringing in this, there's an officer bringing in that. He didn't know the particular officer, but he knew what was cracking enough, and actually handed it to the officer that was bringing everything in. So at this time, the homeboy tells me that, oh yeah, definitely. So immediately this officer reads this and knows that this guy's got to go. So it's chow time. And that officer gets at the homeboy and tells him, hey, fall back from chow, don't go to Chinese to get at you. Gets at him and tells him, hey, trip out, read this. He reads in, he says, who'd you get this from? He says, that fucking new dude that came in, the funny looking one, right? And so he said, hey, don't even trip. He said, you guys need to handle this immediately or everything's done, right? So quiet as it's kept, man, they put 2 hitters on him and they broke his whole fucking head wide open, right? All over that gym. And that's just the way it goes, you know what I mean? People will hate, they're gonna tell on you from hating, they're gonna
Same as on the streets.
yeah, he's the bad guy. Hey, you new people like me, right? Yeah, I know. And they're gonna quick to say it was him. He's the fucking bad guy. He did it. He's the one that came on the banana boat. They're gonna give it all up. But with all that being said, that's normal. That shit happens. This contraband being entered into facilities ain't nothing new. It might be happening more, or the focus is more on it, just based on there's now cell phones. See, with cell phones changed the game.
Yeah.
Just like it changed the game out here on the streets for us with cell phones. You know, we're able to tap into anyone in the world consistently, easily. With one push of the button, you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you can see the world, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing's going on in there. I mean, you give these guys access to the world, man. They're fucking got all day to plot and plan and scheme and think about what they're gonna do to make it work for them. So obviously they're making it work. And I'm not gonna fucking sit here and tell you, hey, this is how they do it and these are what the codes they use and all that, because I'm not here to say that. I am here to say that this gave it more access and made it easier for these guys to enter contraband and to figure out how to do it. And there's some ingenious motherfuckers. I know when I was in there, bro, I was on my ingenious shit. I thought I was Einstein, orderly Copernicus, right? I was on my shit. You know, I would figure out any way to come up. You know, everyone's all about that hustle. So with all this contraband being entered, man, that's due to cell phones. That's due to mouthpiece, guys having this mouthpiece and able to work these women. I got another quick story I want to tell you, Rojo, for the viewers. There was a guy in there, right? There was a guy in there and he was bringing back an extensive amount of black, you know, for those of you that don't know, that's heroin, H. He was bringing it in every weekend, man. He had it on lock. He had that yard on lock. And this same yard, my homeboy's telling me the story. And somewhere along the line, man, this guy fumbled. Fumbled the ball, so he must have not been fucking Barry Sanders because he fumbled, right? And more like Thurman Thomas. But trip out, this motherfucker fumbled, and somewhere along the line, he told someone something, and they told on him. So the placas were waiting on this guy's woman. Same story, man. She came in, they got her for conspiracy to enter contraband to a facility. Okay, but this homeboy, being a righteous individual like he was, he basically took that case for her. You know, he took the case, wrote the case for her. She ended up with some probation or something. He ended up catching the bulk of the beef, which was 9 extra years, and he was less than a year to getting out. So, I mean, it happens all the time, bro. Time and time again, you know, these guys convince their women. And usually it's not the woman that fucks up. She's in love. She's going to do anything for her man. She's going to bring in whatever he tells her to accordingly. But if the guy has a big mouth, he wants, I got the CR and the trunk. He wants to tell everyone he's the man. And in the process, a hater is gonna hate. And now his kids are taken by CPS. She's gaffled up. Soska, yeah, I'll hold. Right? It's all bad. So I know of numerous stories this has happened. But when it all said and done, man, it all comes down to usually someone's telling. And contraband it's gonna continue to get wiggled in. Like I said, the placas are doing it. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's out for at the end of the day, the money. And that's it.
I can't even imagine, bro, in my time, if we would have had, you know, basically unlimited access to cell phones. You know, there's 2 big things that changed the game: the end of hostilities and the letting everybody out of the shoe, and then cell phones becoming like commonplace, bro. That changed the whole spectrum of everything that's going on, man. Everything's in real time. You know, it's not a 3-week, 4-week delay, having to come up with some kind of elaborate story in a letter that somebody else has to try to decipher on the outside, you know, and getting anything into like a shoe or anything for, like, you know, people of status or whatnot. Forget about it. It wasn't happening. You know what I mean? Now they got access to whatever the hell they want, you know. Times have changed, bro. A lot. I don't know how many cases people would have been wrapped up in if we would have had cell phones back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
Like, we're gonna be washed right now, dude. You know?
But what people need to understand is, with the sophistication of society and cell phones and the technology, these cops are going to fight fire with fire, right? So just so the people that are out there watching, I know there's some of you right now in the 4-yard watching the gun. I'm still here. Watch out. Bang, bang. Look, I'm going to give you the heads up right now. Where you're getting that new iPhone, whatever the fuck it is, they're getting scramblers now. They're getting machines to x-ray. They're getting ways to figure out and to read frequencies and stuff. This ain't no conspiracy theory. This is true shit. If you think that the cops are going to let you guys get the heads up, a leg up on them, you're sadly mistaken, bro.
Hey, and think about this too. As far as like getting warrants or anything, it's not going to be hard because, for one, it's a felony to have a cell phone inside of a prison already. So getting a damn warrant it's gonna, they're not even gonna look at it. Inmate such and such has this cell phone, it's tapped in 10 minutes, bro.
Hey, trip out on this. You want to hear something that's funny? The homeboy, same homeboy, man. This motherfucker's been through it. He's still locked up. Anyways, he tells me the story about this worker, right? When I say a worker, I mean he was actually like an electrician or plumber, whatever the fuck he was. He was an outside worker that came into the facility and ran a crew of inmates, you know, guys that had the skills. There's a lot of guys that are electricians, plumbers, construction workers, you know, and of course CDC is going to utilize those skills to benefit them. So, you know, you go in there, you have some plumbing experience. Of course, you're going to get put on the crew. It's a good job for the inmate, keeps you out of the cell, man, makes you some money. And at the same time, you're doing what you know how to do, you know? So they're going to utilize that. But they always have usually an outside worker that comes in that's like a master electrician, master plumber or whatever.
Yeah, he's
and
like the foreman, basically the superintendent.
He pretty much sits on his ass and eats sandwiches all day while you guys do all the work, right? Well, anyways, this guy was actually a plant from the feds to come in and distribute cell phones that were already chipped. So there was a whole yard with these chipped cell phones. And these guys found out about it and they still didn't want to give up the cell phones. They were actually fucking breaking open these phones, pulling the chips out and throwing. I mean, it just, like I said, man, don't put it above CDCR, the federal government, whatever, man, to not try to infiltrate. Because that's, hey, there's cops and then there's robbers, right? There's yin and there's yang, man. You know what I mean? There's black and there's white. There's Michael and there's Prince. You know what I mean? There's always going to be two sides to every story. So they're trying to get them, man. And, you know, that's just what it is.
Hey, I was just thinking, man, whoever your homeboy was at that one place, he was smart for only entertaining the thought of smuggling tobacco too, because tobacco is just going to get you a 115, bro.
Yeah.
You know, maybe some loss of privileges. Maybe you might lose 30 days. You know, oh, you get caught with that heroin, you get caught with all them other things. It's a DA referral. It's a year in the shoe. It's et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, tobacco ain't shit. I'm surprised they haven't made fucking the introduction of tobacco a felony. And yeah, you know, they probably will.
And you know what's a trip is, and I asked my homeboy that. I said, you know, and he's a very, very well versed, very smart, intelligent individual. And he said, you know, if you look at it, just like you said in that spill that you read, 470 pounds.
It's a lot
of tobacco. Listen, when people are all tweaked out in there and they're all aged out and they're all doing what they're doing, everybody likes to smoke, right? Yeah. So the smoking is nonstop. The smoking is the one thing that don't stop. It's like breathing. It's just something that's never going to stop. So if you can supply that habit right there, you're really having all the money. Yes, you might not have it as fast, but in the end, you're going to have all that, right? And that's what he was on, man. Like I said, he flipped one $100 bill into paying a fucking car note every month. The little homie was getting visits every month, and she was coming all the way from Gilroy to where he was at, which was a distance. He was getting, you know, just pretty much everything that he planned on getting and stacking chips. You know what I mean?
He was having it his way.
Having it his way, and he was smoking like a train. And like I said, man, it's all about supply and demand. If you got the supply, the demand is there, especially in prison when these guys got a lot of time in their hands. And some of these guys are non-smokers. They go in prison as non-smokers and they start smoking daily. The reason being is they feel like they're doing something against the grain, something illegal. You know, it's fun when you're in jail and you're making that wick and hey, throw some of those incense. You know those incense that you get.
You feel like you're winning, yeah.
The Muslim, hey, you know the Muslim oils you get. The Muslim, hey, throw some of them oils on the incense, homie. You feel like you're winning.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like I said, the other cops were the robbers. Anything to go against the grain. You know what I mean? And if you're the man with all the tobacco, well, guess what? Who's really winning? Like I said, 400 worth of a pack of cigarettes was 400 in canteen or 200 $100 bills. You know, then when you can fuck around and get the $100 bill, take it back to the blackout, flip it for 2 more packs. Ding, 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 ding. And the winner is bang, bang.
That's crazy, man. Well, today's positive lesson of the day is do your time. don't get caught up, bro, because they'll wash you. What that dude got? How many years you say?
He ended up catching 9 more,
That's 9.
9 hot ones. He was
It's,
down to less than a year.
hey, and check it out. What if he would have been a second striker already? What if he would have been this? What if he would have been that? All because he wanted to make a little bit of money.
Yeah, and you know what it was
Think
the
about it.
man, and he was doing it for a while, from what the homeboy told me, and he was doing his thing, wiggling. He just got ahead of himself. He started to get boisterous. He started to let people see his business and know what was going on. That's what happens with a lot of people, man. They start to get too relaxed and comfortable, and there's always people lurking in the bushes. There's a lot of haters in life, man, and they're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, and they see you out there getting, whether you're not going to kick in, or they just want to just shit on your parade and not see you shine. They're going to tell on you for no other reason than that.
Bro, that the one homeboy that nobody likes, so he doesn't get to hit the Yeska or doesn't get a Frajo because he's kind of weird and shit. You know what he's doing?
Oh yeah,
he's going to medical.
Oh, he's doing this.
Yeah,
Hey,
he's going to medical.
what about me?
Yeah.
Hey, it's me, Pac-Man.
He's
Fuck
like,
you, Pac-Man. And then
you
that's
guys
it.
don't want to let me hit your fucking blunt, motherfucker? I got you. I got something
I'm a
for you.
homie too, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's it. And next thing you know what I mean? Hey, but quiet as it's kept, Rojo, and you know this just like I know this. It's not even that one that can hit the blunt. It's usually the one that's hitting the blunt right after you. It's your own sidekick is going to be the one to give you up.
Yeah, no doubt.
For anyone that really knows, you know what I mean?
Yes,
because
sir.
hey, he wants to be that man, bro. Usually, if they're that close to you, that means they're next in line. And guess what? They ain't trying to wait.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, YouTube, man. Hope you guys enjoyed that little story. I thought it was very interesting, just the amounts, the cell phones and stuff that threw me for a loop, those kind of numbers, man. And there's still, for everyone they confiscate, there's 2 other ones, bro. So I mean, you get the idea. But thanks, Gunner, for fucking coming on here, man. And I enjoyed it. And one of us will probably see you guys later on live, man. Have a good rest of your guys' day. What do you tell them, Gunner? What is it called? Hustle?
Man, I hope that everyone gets everything that they want coming to you. I hope that you move fast with a purpose. That's called hustling. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about uniting the Raza man from the north, south, and even the fucking Bulldogs. Get on in the mix, man. Let's keep it cool with everyone, and that's what we push here, man. Unity.
All right. Have a good one, man. Appreciate y'all.